Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. Welcome to the first meeting of June for 2019. And also, we're approaching the end of summer, or the end of spring. I apologize, we're coming into summer, although it feels like it's summer outside already anyway. I was going to choose the theme for the evening to be spring cleaning. Since we've, at our house, have started that, my wife just hired somebody to do all the windows. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that, how expensive that's going to be. But it just reminded me of spring cleaning, and I have a couple of items for spring cleaning for your speeches, but I will save that until later since we do now have one speech for this evening. We are running a little long with the election, so I'll forego that until later.
Should I just 8 to 10 minutes instead of 5 to 7?
Whatever you tell me you need to have.
Well, I can do an 8 to 10 if you want me to.
Because we only have one speaker. Yeah, we only have one speaker. That'll work. So the first part of our meeting this evening is obviously the prepared speeches, but before we get started with that, I want to introduce the members of the evaluation team and a couple of other people who will be responsible for judging the progress of the meeting this evening. Our general evaluator for this evening is Olivia. Olivia, can you explain what the general evaluator does?
Hello. The role of the general evaluator is I kind of take notes on the meeting, how it starts, the progression of the meeting, and just report the overall flow of the meeting, how it went, or if I have an opinion on how it should have gone. Any unnecessary distractions that I may note, or the audience, how everyone appeared to be, feedback, things like that. So that's
Olivia is assisted by a team of people. The first is our grammarian for the evening, Don Roscoe. Don, would you explain the grammarian's role?
Yeah, I'll be the grammarian for tonight, in which case will listen for proper and improper uses of the English language, including the use of the word of the day, which for today is gravitas, which is a noun, and it means dignity, seriousness, or solemnity of manner. He was nominated for a position for which he has the expertise and the gravitas.
Very good. Thank you, Don. Our odd counter for this evening?
I'll also be doing the I counter, in which case I'll be looking for uses of filler words. So, ums and ahs, and at the end of the meeting I will give a tally for those.
Good, thank you. Appreciate it, Don. Our timer for this evening is Cody. Cody,
Yes.
would you explain the timer?
I'll be keeping track of everybody's speech time. So whether you go up there for your prepared speech or a table topics or an evaluation, I'll keep track of the time and give a report to everyone at the end of the meeting.
Thank you, Cody. So we'll begin with our prepared speeches, but it's always interesting because Lawrence always has something to talk about. So he's sort of always prepared, which is like a good Boy Scout, I guess. But, it's a good trait to have something in your pocket to be able to fill in as needed. And in the short time that I've come to know Lawrence, I really enjoy everything that he has to say. And I really wish him well on his next adventure for the next 6 months, which will be what he's going to talk about this evening. And the title of his speech is Where Does Time Go? Please help me welcome Lawrence Crumpton.
It's in the back of my head, and I'll probably remember it as soon as the speech is over, but I can't remember the tune of Where Does the Time Go? Where does the time go? Every day, the clock keeps ticking. Tick, 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 tick. Every night, as we go to bed, another day has passed. Many things have happened during that day, often without us even having a second thought about what that day has passed. And then along comes Sunday morning, another whole week has passed, with many things happening, most of which we never even thought twice about. And then the month goes by, and the year goes by, and then one day, our life has gone by, and according to some, you get to watch a video of your entire life as you pass into the next realm. I don't know if this is true. I'll find out one day. as will you. But, my fellow Toastmasters, where does the time go? You know, at the beginning of this year, I never expected my life to be the way it is at this point in time. Sure, I had certain ideas. I'm not a person who makes New Year's resolutions because New Year's resolutions always get broken. So it's useless to make a New Year's resolution. But you can set goals. And that's a completely different thing than a resolution. When you resolve to do something, then you are going to be committed to make this happen. But when you set goals, then it's something that you are working to achieve. So there's a whole different mindset to it. Now, at the beginning of this year, I didn't really have that substantial a goal. I'm a little bit older. Every day I'm hoping to wake up tomorrow. So it's a little bit different than many of you young'uns here. But still, I wanted to start this year and continue this year making people happy. That is my lifetime goal. I try to make people happy because in their happiness, also, I achieve happiness. And I honestly feel that that is the easiest way for people to be happy, is by trying to make other people happy. So that was my goal for this 6 months of the beginning of this year. Now the problem is, there were some very traumatic incidents that happened in my life in the past 6 months. And so now, everything has changed. Where does the time go? Every once in a while, it's just gone. We don't see it pass. It's like the wind. You don't feel it pass. But tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock. It just keeps on going. But now, here, as I'm standing before you, I have whatever's left of my life ahead of me. I have the next 6 months. I have some goals for the next 6 months. My first and foremost goal is to reevaluate who I am and what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. Now, to do this, I have a couple of things that I'm going to do. Very soon, I am going to be going on a weekend spiritual retreat, which is kind of a vision quest type retreat. And then the week after that, or very shortly, within the next 10 days after that, I'm going to embark on a 13,000-mile journey of discovery. Now, that journey is going to engulf a lot of things. But the main thing is going to be trying to figure out where I'm going and how I'm going to get there. Because tick-tock, 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 time just keeps moving. It keeps taking us wherever it's going to go. And unless we figure out who we are and where we're going, we're just going to be gone. So I really want to make this a discovery. So I've made a few commitments. Now, one, although I'm not a heavy consumer of alcohol, I have stopped drinking alcohol for the rest of the month until after this spiritual retreat. I will soon be stopping coffee. I didn't want to do it all at once. But I'll soon be stopping coffee for at least 2 weeks prior to this retreat. And then, when the retreat is done, I'm going to move into my trailer my motorhome that I just bought, and I'm going to live in that motorhome. I'm not going to have a TV. I'm probably very seldom going to be watching anything on the internet. And I'm going to go back to my younger days when I used to read a lot. I'm a commercial fisherman, and I read all the time. When I was working on supply boats and utility boats and jack-up boats and other things, I read all the time. I read many authors, everything I could find on that particular author. And then I'd go on to another one. And I'd pick up books that just happened to be there and read them. And I'm going to go back and start doing that again. Because even in the most silly pulp fiction, there are gems that most people wouldn't even notice. But when you're searching, you will always find. Tick tock, tick tock. Time just keeps moving on. Now, one of the interesting things that I've also learned in my past life was that in most of your spiritual literature, they have an idea similar to what the New Age people call your, now I can't even think of the word, I'm sorry, but they have an idea that when you focus on something, it's going to come to you, the law of attraction. Every religious book has something about the law of attraction. In the Bible, it says, ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you shall find. But the unspoken part of that is, if you don't ask and if you don't seek, what do you think is going to happen? So, tick tock, tick tock. Where does the time go? It keeps blowing by. We need, my friends, to ask ourselves, what is it that we want to do? How do we want to do it? And when are we going to do it? Because each one of us, whether we know it or not, are on a vision quest to find ourselves, to reevaluate ourselves, to recreate ourselves every morning when we get up. And before we go to bed, we can remember what happened during the day. At the end of the week, we can remember what happened at that week. And the end of the year, we can have a beautiful vision of all the good we've done, so that as we go, tick tock, into the future, we won't worry about where did the time go. Mr. Topic Master, or Yeah, topic master.
Thank you.
Because it was a table topic, right?
No, it was prepared speech. That's okay, well, very, that's amazing to listen to what you just said, because I can remember when I was 45, thinking 65 was, I'll never reach 65. I'm 72. I don't remember the 1960s. That's why. And I don't remember
Because you were there.
the age of the 60s. My age, it's gone. And every day just goes faster and faster and faster. The point being, slow down, enjoy the day. Turn off the television, turn off the social media, turn off the cell phone, and enjoy the day. Enjoy the people around you, enjoy life while you have it, because you never know when you don't have it anymore. And I envy you. I really envy you for what you're about to embark on, because I think it's going to be an amazing journey. The song lyrics that kept coming to my mind was, ain't it funny how time slips away, or how time slips by, something along those lines. But the one thing that I would say is, and I'm not doing an evaluation here, but talking about your goal, I think you've succeeded at your goal of making people happy.
Oh, good, thank you.
So thank you very much for that. And now we'll move into the table topics portion of our meeting, and our table topics master this evening is Diego. So please help me welcome Diego Calderon.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. So this is a very special table topics because I honestly forgot that I'm table topics master. So this is going to be a learning experience for everyone tonight. Okay. With that said, now that I've allayed everyone's concerns, and let's get started. So who would like to be the first table topic speaker for tonight? And I'll give you my best impromptu question. Cody. All right, Cody. What inspired you to become an engineer?
So I'm sure y'all are expecting an amazing, inspiring story about my journey to become an engineer. But if I really think hard about why I chose that path, I think it wasn't even a math teacher at the time, but in grade school, someone mentioned to my parents, was like, he's pretty good at math. I think he would make a good engineer. And I was reading an article in the paper or something, and the outlook for engineer careers are pretty good. And then that information got told to me, so it kind of stuck in the back of my head. Originally, I wanted to be an orthopedic surgeon, but I don't know, I guess I was a little bit lazy, and I knew that at the time, so I was like, yeah, maybe that's not for me. I don't know if I can do that much schooling. So I was like, well, that engineering thing sounds like it might be interesting, and the job outlook. I'm very logical in my thinking, so it wasn't like a passion or somebody in my family was an engineer or anything like that. Just kind of thought through it. Like, well, if I go to school, I need to have something to show for it, and the job outlook looks pretty good, and the pay's not bad. So it's pretty much why I decided to become an engineer, and I was able to stick with it, get through all the art classes, and finally get a job. So thank you, Table Topics Master.
Excellent work, Cody. All right, do we have another speaker tonight? Another table topics volunteer? Cheyenne, please don't come rushing immediately to the podium with your enthusiasm. Cheyenne, what do you prefer doing more at Toastmasters? Do you prefer doing prepared speeches or table topic speeches, and why?
Hello, fellow Toastmasters. I've been asked, do I prefer to do table topics or the prepared speeches? If you do not know my current activity level of Toastmasters, that's probably a good thing because I've only done one prepared speech. So my preference is table topics because I have not been able to put in the desired time that I have for the prepared speeches. But I do enjoy prepared speeches in other situations. So that is one of my goals for the next coming up months, is to take my time and to delegate it so I can be a great prepared speaker like some of you guys. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Cheyenne. Do we have another volunteer for table topics tonight? So we'll get back to you. Don't worry. Maurice.
Yes.
When a film comes out that's based on a book, do you prefer watching the film or do you prefer reading the book?
Well, Toastmasters, I was posed the question, when an epic film comes out based on a book, would I prefer to watch the movie or read the book? To tell you the truth, I have not been, it's been quite a few years since I watched a movie at a theater. And I don't have cable at home or any type of paid TV at home for many years. So I would just have to default to the book, even though I may not do the book. I don't do novels anymore. I haven't read a novel in a long time. The books that I have read are factual books or books that are enriching personally. So I'm really caught up between the two choices because it's not likely that I'll do either. I guess that's my gravitas, or I have the gravitas not to do those things. Mr. Topic Master.
Thanks, Maurice. If there's one thing we can count on, you always find some way or shape or form to include the word of the day. So, it's a good habit to keep up. Do we have Olivia? Olivia, would you be open to volunteering? Okay, great. Olivia, what made you want to get involved in Toastmasters?
Hello, Toastmasters. The question was, what made me want to be involved in Toastmasters? And I'm not going to do my pocket speech again, because that's what my whole pocket speech was about. But I will just simply say that I have a desire to help. I smiled when you said you find happiness in making others happy, and that's sort of what I am. And I enjoy speaking publicly, so I just figured, I was actually searching online for, I didn't know at the time, but I was looking for Toastmasters. So when I found that there was a place right here in Mobile that actually would help me develop what I already wanted to do, I thought I was in heaven. So again, I just have a desire to help people. I enjoy speaking publicly, and I just hope that Toastmasters helps me to enhance that skill and just be a blessing to someone else. That's why.
Thank you so much, Olivia. Do we have time for one more stand do it?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll be respectful of the agenda time. Do we have one more final table topics volunteer tonight?
I'll go.
Justin,
Saved by the bell.
or, okay, Justin. Everyone here is involved in Toastmasters is of course looking to develop and develop a bigger strength in public speaking. What's another skill you'd be interested in developing?
Thank you. Fellow Toastmasters, I've been asked a question about another skill I'd like to develop beyond the speaking skills that I'm learning in Toastmasters. I can speak to a recent hobby. So I did buy a sailboat with a partner, and it's a fixer-upper, and I have been working on building skills around working on boats, and that's something I really enjoy, and it ties into the engineering part of things. And my dad also has an older boat that he works on more than he actually uses the boat. I think he enjoys that part more. So that's also given a good opportunity for my dad and I to spend time, and I get to seek advice from him on things like PC wiring and that sort of thing, fiberglass repairs and what kind of paint to use. So I've been working on that skill. It's a bit of a hobby. I enjoy it, and the bonus is you have this boat that you can go out and sail around on without working on it. So thank you, Mr. Toppers.
Thank you, Justin. Okay, we're going to conclude the table topics portion of our meeting, and I'm going to turn it back to our Toastmaster topic.
Thank you. Thank you, Diego. That was an excellent session, and I'm excited about the coming year. Quite honestly, with the officers coming in, the outgoing officers are all good. I'm really excited about the group that's going to lead this club over the next 12 months, and I think it's going to be a very good experience for anybody that's a member of this club. So it just continues the tradition of this club. It's always been a good one. We will now begin the evaluation portion of our meeting, and with that, I would like to call up our general evaluator, Olivia. Starting with
evaluator. I will speak to the other evaluation team tonight and get their reports. So my timers report. Oh,
You can, your speech back.
speech evaluation. Okay, so the speech evaluation, I'll have it.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters. I think that we're all usually pretty amazed with how Lawrence does in speeches, especially pocket speeches. He always has one that you can just come up and give. His speech title was, "Where Does the Time Go?" So for general comments, I think that Lawrence excelled at delivering a speech that's interesting and engaging, and I think that he really did well to keep the speech focused throughout the whole speech on the theme, which was time and where the time goes. I also think that it was good for him to kind of move away from the lectern. That's something that I don't really do much, but he did that a lot, and that was pretty good. I think that for Lawrence to challenge himself, he could maybe work on incorporating maybe a pause, like a few more pauses. He probably did, but I just feel like maybe that's something that you could do. It's kind of minor, but you're at that level where just like really refining everything you do is how you're going to improve. Other notes that I took, I think it was good that you related significant personal experiences and the importance of goal setting. And then when he talked about goals, he also gave examples of his personal goals, such as who he is and where he's going. And he talked about how that's a goal that he's continuing and that he's had for this first 6 months of the year, and another goal of reading again when he goes on his trip, reading more again. So I think that was really good to incorporate that with the idea of time. And I also like that you kind of used a reoccurring theme with time, which was, you kept saying tick tock, and which makes people think of a clock and time. So I thought that was pretty creative, and I liked that. And then just to conclude, I thought you keeping the focus on time and the importance of being aware of time and where we are and where we're going was really great for the speech, and it's really something that other people can apply and think about, and to reach your audience in that way was really good. And the conclusion was really smooth, and you brought everything back full circle to where did the time go with your last sentence. So I thought that was great. So good job, especially for a pocket speech.
Thank you, Heather. That was awesome, your evaluation. Sort of some of the same things I was thinking. Next we have our timers report.
Yes.
So it's gonna be-
So, timer's report for tonight. Lawrence, you had an 8 to 10 minute speech. Your speech was 9 minutes and 39 seconds, so great job. I did a table topics for 1 minute and 32. Cheyenne, yours was 42 seconds. Maurice, yours was 1 minute and 19. Olivia, you had 1 minute and 3. Justin, 59 seconds. And Heather, your evaluation was 3 minutes and 18 seconds. That concludes the time.
Thank you for your report. Next we have the R counter at the grammarian. Also, will you be doing the word of the day? Oh, you did that. That was already done. Okay, so we're gonna do the R counter and the grammarian report.
So
That's
for
what
the
we got.
eye counters, we had many speakers, and really I think everyone had a pretty good night. There wasn't a whole lot going on. So to start with, I have instances in which I caught, a slight or ah. So that's pretty remarkable, even for a pocket speech. And we also have on some of the table topics, Justin, there's only one instance, Maurice, only one. For Toastmaster, Tom, only one. Olivia, I didn't have any for you on table topics and only one on general evaluation. I only caught Cody about one time with an ah. Heather through the eval of Lawrence's, 3 uses of but really good evaluation by the way. Diego only 1, Cheyenne only 2, and Olivia 2. And 1 use of the word of the day by Maurice. Like I think someone said, he always seems to catch it. And no blatant misuses of the English language.
Thank you very much for our Marion County report. And now on to the general evaluation of the meeting. Meeting started on time, 6:45. The biggest business that we had was the election of new officers. We went over that. That completed at 6:50. Other business that we discussed was the open house next week. So please all bring someone out. My general evaluation of the meeting is it runs well as always. But one thing that I like tonight that I don't see much, so this is just my evaluation. Cheyenne, when Sean walked in, you said, "You're the president." And the whole room laughed. And sometimes I know the importance of being structured and, thorough and on task, but sometimes I think we should just let our hair down. I don't get the feeling that we laugh. Okay, so I was like, oh, that was beautiful. I felt like this huge presence of peace when everyone I was like, wow, the whole group's laughing. I couldn't laugh because I was so busy admiring their faces. Beautiful, the whole group is laughing. Mr. Tom, you were an awesome Toastmaster. Thank you for that. Lawrence, your speech. Did you wonder why or how I came up with that topic so quickly? It was because I was going to try my own pocket speech tonight. And my topic was going to be, where does the time go? So when I found an opportunity to have someone show me how to do it, that was beautiful. Also, I just knew that I would learn something from the speech. And not just for me, I'm 41, so I imagine that I have fewer years ahead of me than I do behind me. Okay, so if I live to be 82, I'll break even. But who knows? So, we just don't know what tomorrow's gonna bring. So I just knew I would learn something. So some of the things you said about a weekend spiritual retreat, I hadn't thought of that. I knew it was gonna work. Laws of attraction, that was beautiful. And just the ability to express to others in a way that some of us younger ones may not have even thought about. That it's time for us to get busy knowing who we are, what we want to do, when we're going to do it, and how we're going to do it. Tomorrow's just not promised. It doesn't matter anymore your age, so tomorrow's not promised. Or you wake up one day and realize, where did the time go? What should I have done or what didn't I do? And then to incorporate last 6 months with the next 6 months, you did way better than I could have ever done with that, because I know your 6 months has not been the most pleasant, but I was like, wow, he is holding it together. Awesome. So thank God for that. I thank you for that. Everything else just seemed to be a beautiful speech. I enjoyed the table topics. Those were really impromptu, and I think you did an awesome job of picking those topics. And that's it. That's my evaluation of the meeting.
Thank you, Olivia. Well done. Do you have an educational overview? Because if you don't, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have one.
You started to say you did. That concludes the basic portion of the meeting, the educational part. But what I would like to do is just give you a couple of house cleaning or spring cleaning tips for your public speaking skills. And I have 3 of them. And you may have heard me mention a couple of these before, but one thing you want to do if you're giving a prepared speech is to exercise. I'm not talking about lifting weights or running around the block. What I'm talking about is exercising your jaw muscles. And the way to do that is to say the letters of the alphabet aloud and with extreme tension in your face, go A, B, C. Do that for the entire alphabet, because what it does is it does loosen up the jaw muscle so that you can speak more freely. The flow is much better. That's tip number one. Tip number two is the use of pauses and spacing in your speech. Sometimes by slowing down, you have more impact when you say less than when you say more. And there's a guideline that you can use that if you begin to practice this, you then begin to recognize what parts of your speech have more impact, and you know to slow that down a little bit so that people can understand. So you may want to make note of this. You want to let punctuation be your guide. If the sentence comes to a full stop, meaning a period, an exclamation point, or a question mark, there's a count of 1, 2. Count to yourself before you begin the next sentence. For a comma or a semicolon is the comma with the dot above it, the count is 1. For a full colon, count 1, 2 to yourself before you begin the next part of your speech. Between paragraphs, count to 3. The most important thing is when you first come up to the lectern, take a deep breath and count to 5 before you begin your talk. The timing doesn't start until you make the first gesture to the audience. It lets the audience settle down, it relaxes you, and people are prepared to listen to what you have to say. And there was one more thing that I just forgot. So I think that was the breathing before you start the talk. The third tip is to either purchase a pocket digital recorder or use the recording on your cell phone to record your speech and play it back and listen to it and see what you think of it. And you'll find parts in there where you may want to slow down a little bit as you talk. So you're evaluating yourself before you get up to give your speech in front of someone else. And Cheyenne, I have just one question. You do stand-up comedy, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Do you prepare your jokes beforehand?
Most of the time, I try to listen.
Same for speech. So it's just a little longer, but I want to come and hear you speak, hear your performance. I bet it's
I'll let
really,
you know
really
the next date.
good. And that's the educational portion, educational overview. So I'll return the meeting back over to our president.
Well, this was a great meeting tonight. I really enjoyed it. Olivia, thank you for that journal. I think it's one of the more in-depth ones we've had in a long time, so that was good. I like that spin on it. Now, I have the pleasure to award Diego with the Competent Communicator. He's completed 10 speeches out of the old manual. This is maybe one of the last ones you'll see of this because most everyone's doing pathways now. So let's give Diego a round of applause.
Yeah, probably not as good resolution as yours, but
That's okay.
I wish.
Handshake in front or?
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. We'll do it a few more times.
Yeah.
Nice good job.
Get a good angle, a better angle here. It looks kind of dark. It looks dark.
Yeah, right.
Hold on just a second.
I have an off. There, right there.
Heather, can you hand me that napkin right
Last
there?
handshake done.
There we go. Beautiful.
Studio level. Much better.
Thank you so much. That's a glamour shot.
It's got this portrait on
Closer up. Okay. From, I guess, from the waist up. Uh-oh. One more. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Do you mind sending me a photo? Do you want to send me a
Yeah,
photo? Okay.
sure.
Yes.
I posted on my LinkedIn.
All
Tell
right.
me your phone number.
All right, everyone. Well, we have one award tonight, and I think that's going to do it for our meeting. So thanks, everyone.
What is the, do we have an itinerary for next week? Who's gonna do what? Are you gonna be here next week?
Yeah, I'll be here next week.
Could you be the Toastmaster?
Yes.
Because you're, I think you would be an ideal Toastmaster for this program.
I can do that.
Okay.
I'm not able to come, I'm in night class.
Okay. You gonna be here next week? Or
I'm
did you
in
start?
night classes.
You said you started in August?
Yeah.